Hi everyone and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new to my channel. So today we're going to of course continue with our 1980s horror series, and specifically another movie from the year 1980, and that's a supernatural slasher movie by Ulli Lommel entitled The Boogeyman, the original version here from 1980. This DVD that I have of it also includes a bonus feature of Return of the Boogeyman. And I'm going to go on a limb and guess this movie's not very good. The fact that they would include the full movie as a bonus feature, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into The Boogeyman from 1980 here. So, The Boogeyman is a 1980 American supernatural slasher film written and directed by Ulli Lommel. The film's title refers to the long-held superstition of boogeyman beings, and its plot concerns two siblings who are targeted by the ghost of their mother's deceased boyfriend, which has been freed from a mirror. So basically, young siblings Willie and Lacey watch their mother and her boyfriend kissing in her bedroom. When their mother notices them, she has her boyfriend tie Willie to his headboard before sending Lacey to her room. Lacey frees Willie from his bed, and Willie enters the room and repeatedly stabs his mother's boyfriend with his chef's knife in front of a large mirror. Excuse me. 20 years later, Lacey, now an adult, is married with a young son and lives with her aunt and uncle on a farm. Willie also lives with them but has been mute since the night he killed his mother's boyfriend. One night over dinner, Lacey finds a letter in the mail from her mother, who claims to be on her deathbed and wishes to see them one last time, but Willie ends up burning the letter. Lacey suffers from nightmares and has a particularly frightening dream where she is dragged, tied to a bed, and almost stabbed by an unseen entity. Her husband, Jake, takes her to a psychiatrist to help her confront her fears and decides to go visit the house she grew up in. They arrive not knowing who is actually living there and meet two teenage girls and their younger brother. The daughter thinks Lacey and Jake have been sent by the real estate company to view the house. Lacey sees a reflection, or Jake and Lacey pretend that they're there to buy the house so they can look around. At the house, Lacey sees a reflection of her mother's deceased boyfriend coming towards her in a mirror inside the bedroom where he died, and smashes the mirror in a panic with a chair. Her husband takes the broken mirror with him in an attempt to repair it. That was a mistake. But a piece is left behind which later glows red and spells doom for the teenage girls and their brother. So yeah, that's sort of the setup, the premise, the beginning of The Boogeyman from 1980. As far as the cast goes, we have Susanna Love as Lacey, Ron James as Jake, John Carradine as Dr. Warren, Nicholas Love as Willie, and Raymond Boyden as Kevin. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast from the 1980 supernatural slasher The Boogeyman. Um, this movie's pretty silly and schlocky. And if you go into it knowing that and you look at it that way, you can have a decent time with it. So let's just go ahead and get into my review, what I liked about it first. As far as my pros go, I think the score of the movie, well, it's obviously borrowed from a version of John Carpenter's Halloween. I think is pretty good here, and it holds up well throughout the movie, and it does add to some of the higher tension, higher suspense kind of scenes. So the score was the first thing from a positive standpoint that really stood out to me. I think a few of the kills are pretty good. They're fun type slasher kills, like involving the three kids, the two teenagers and their brother, the two teenage girls and her brother, whose house they go to visit and break the mirror at. Some of their deaths, as well as some teenagers on the beach, especially one death that was probably my favorite, which was when two of them become a kiss kebab, we'll call it. Not a shish kebab, but a kiss kebab. If you've seen the movie, you know. But yeah, that's a pretty good kill. There is some pretty good, but again, borrowed POV shots and slow panning camera work that makes the movie a bit more interesting and visually interesting, especially. Again, they take from John Carpenter's Halloween, especially the beginning of the movie with the POV shots, but it does set this movie apart from other slashers during this time. I think the end of the movie does pick up a little bit, and it has a pretty intense finale with some pretty decent gore effects, as well as some like lighting effects, some practical special effects there. For example, there's a shard of glass from the mirror that ends up on one of the characters' eyes, and as they turn around, there's like a green light that comes out of it. I actually thought it was done better in this movie than something like Beyond Evil, where they try to use the green lighting, the green laser, and it just that didn't work for me in that movie. I'm not saying it's fantastic in this movie, but it's pretty decent as a practical effect goes from 1979, 1980. Um, I have to say Ulli Lommel does a pretty good job given what he had to work with, which wasn't much money. This had a $350,000 budget for this movie. So considering that low budget nature, I thought he directed the movie pretty well and did what he could to get what he did out of it. But overall, this is just a slocky 80s movie with some interesting aspects to it, like the kills, like I said, the shots, the POV shots, as well as the score and some of the directing. That you just got to go into it and having a good time, and almost want to looking at it like it's one of so bad it's good kind of movies from the early 80s. And if you do that, I think you can watch it and have some fun with it. Getting into my cons for the movie, there's not much originality here, as it basically borrows from three well-known movies: The Exorcist, Halloween, and the Amityville Horror. And it doesn't use any of what it borrows from those nearly as well as those movies did. If you're going to steal from another movie, at least try to make it as good as that movie did, but this movie doesn't. The story is really silly and over the top. It's hard to take it seriously, where these characters are following an evil mirror and the leftover shards of this mirror that just happens to go with them because they're trying to fix the mirror. And I don't know, man. I mean, again, it goes into part of the schlockiness I was talking about. You just have to go with it and not ask questions. But there was times where it was just a little too silly for me to really, even for a supernatural slasher, which I know in other horror movies, objects have been, you have evil objects that are infected with somebody's spirit, but it just didn't work for me as well in this movie, if I'm being honest with you. The acting isn't very good at times in this movie. All the characters, all the performers have some bad moments throughout the movie. Even the main character of Susanna Love as Lacey, who I thought for the most part was serviceable in this movie. She's still got some dialogue moments that aren't great. The first part of the movie isn't paced very well. It's kind of boring for the first 30 or 35 minutes after the opening sequence. So the opening sequence of like 5 to 10 minutes is pretty decent. Again, very much borrowed from the original Halloween from 1978. But that was interesting. But then you got like a half an hour where they extend scenes. They put stuff in there that really that they don't go back to later in the movie, like this mother's letter. Scenes are just drawn out, and I believe there's filler for runtime in a good part of this movie. That being said, also the writing's pretty rough in this movie, both from a story narrative standpoint and especially a character dialogue standpoint. There's one character who's Willie, the brother, played in this movie by Nicholas Love, and he's mute in this movie, and I think they'll tell you they did it for his character because of the trauma, but really I think they probably heard him give dialogue and were like, ugh, we got to make this guy a mute in the movie. We can't be having him talk because it's dreadful, man. It's just dreadful. So, and then finally there's one kind of ridiculous kill in the middle of the movie where a character gets hit in the face with a medicine cabinet, and apparently that's enough to kill her. It must have, I don't know. It must have hit her just in the right spot to stop her brain or her heart from working. I'm not exactly sure how that works out, but that's kind of a small nitpick. But yeah, overall, I don't have too much else to say about the movie. Again, it's a schlocky early 80s movie that does have some interesting aspects about it, but by no means is anybody going to say this is a good movie. That's not to say there aren't people out there that will enjoy this movie and have fun with it. I think if you have the right mindset, you will. My problem is I took a look at the cover, and this cover is actually scarier than the movie is, frankly. I guess I didn't realize going into it that it was going to be an evil object. I thought there was actually going to be some form of even if it was a silhouette of a killer or something, because that's what it shows on the cover here. And actually the scariest part of the movie is at the beginning in that opening scene where her boyfriend, the mother's boyfriend, puts a pantyhose over his head. that look was actually kind of creepy, the creepiest part of the movie, but I don't think they were intending that to be the scariest part of the movie. But anyway, yeah, just go in with tapered expectations like you have to for a lot of these early 80s slasher movies. Just know what you're getting into. But I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. I think for what it is and what they got out of the budget and the directing and some of the kills, which are fun, and the score, it's worth a watch. I mean, I would recommend a watch on it. You could probably find it on YouTube. I'm not really sure. I didn't pay a whole lot for this version. It's just a DVD version. I don't even know if they have Blu-ray or 4K out there for this movie. I'm happy, given the movie and stuff, I'm happy having this DVD is good enough for me. Because I didn't think it looked bad either. I guess that's another positive I can get it. Sometimes in those late 70s, early 80s movies, the cinematography's not that good. I thought the movie looked fine for the most part. So, but 6.5 out of 10 for the Boogeyman from 1980. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of the Boogeyman. Do you like it more or less? Why not? Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this continued series, as well as my other horror content, which I have coming out the rest of this year and into next. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this review and you're enjoying this review series. And as always, stay scared. Bye.